Right now, as I speak this sentence to you, a quiet new rule has taken effect across all 50 United States that has not made the evening news, and almost nobody in your family circle has heard about it yet. If you are 65 or older, if you have ever received a single traffic ticket of any kind, and if you currently rely on your driver's license to reach your doctor or your job or to send money home to your family overseas, then this rule was written without your input, and almost nobody is going to warn you about it before tomorrow. The first consequence is a single unpaid ticket as small as $300 can now trigger a permanent federal data flag that lives inside your immigration file today. The second consequence is a green card renewal that used to take 6 months can now stretch into 18 months and cost you $9,000 in lost wages immediately. The third consequence is a citizenship interview scheduled for this spring can now be postponed for up to 36 months while the government reviews your driving record now. The fourth consequence is the loss of your right to remain legally present in the United States as a direct result of one unpaid parking ticket immediately. This is not a rumor from social media, not speculation, not a panic headline, and not a political talking point from either side of the aisle. This comes directly from a federal rule published in the Federal Register on December 19, 2025, and it goes live tomorrow. Most of what you have heard on this topic so far is incomplete, and you may walk away from this video today without the single most relevant piece of information for your specific situation now. Here is what nobody is clearly telling you, and this is the part you need to hear first before the fear fully sets in. This is not a brand new law that Congress just passed in 2026. This is not something the president invented last week. The federal rule that started all of this has been on the books for more than 2 decades now. The real law that started this whole chain of events is officially named the Real ID Act of 2005, and it was signed into law on May 11, 2005 as part of Public Law No. 10913. The Real ID Act established the basic rules for state driver's licenses and required every state to verify identity documents before issuing any license at all. On top of that, the Federal Immigration and Nationality Act, specifically INA Section 101F, has defined what the government calls good moral character since 1952. Translated into plain English, this section is the test that asks whether you are the kind of person the federal government wants to make into a United States citizen. The real change that begins tomorrow morning is not the text of the law itself. The real change is a brand new Memorandum of Understanding signed on December 19, 2025, between every United States State Department of Motor Vehicles and the Federal Department of Homeland Security. And this memorandum quietly activates the dormant enforcement trigger that has been sitting inside both of those old laws for 20 years now. Now let me give you the single number that surprised me the very first time I saw it written into the published rule itself. Most people, when they hear about a brand new federal enforcement trigger like this one, immediately assume the dollar number is going to be somewhere up in the thousands. Most people assume this rule is meant to catch people who owed $20,000 or who had been ignoring tickets for years. Most people assume this could never apply to a single retired nurse who got one ticket for an expired registration a long time ago. The actual dollar number that triggers the federal data flag under this brand new rule is just $300. $300 is the price of a basic parking ticket in most major American cities right now. $300 is the price of running a single stop sign in many smaller towns across the country. $300 is the price of one speeding ticket for going 15 miles per hour over the limit in neighborhoods like the suburbs outside Houston, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, or Charlotte, North Carolina. Any unpaid traffic citation that exceeds the value of $300, that remains unpaid for 90 days or longer, is now flagged automatically within 72 hours after that 90-day deadline passes by. That is a smaller number than almost any senior viewer expected, and that is exactly why this rule is going to catch so many honest, hardworking senior immigrant families by surprise starting tomorrow. Now I want to walk you through the exact step-by-step mechanism because understanding the chain of events is what protects you and your family. When a state court issues a traffic ticket in 2026 and that ticket remains unpaid for the 90-day window I just named, the state court automatically sends the unpaid balance to that state's Department of Motor Vehicles. Under the new memorandum signed in December 2025, every state Department of Motor Vehicles is now required to forward these unpaid tickets to the Federal Department of Homeland Security, which most Americans simply call DHS, and that forwarding happens once a week through a brand new secure federal data portal that went online for testing in November 2025. Once DHS receives the list is routed to 3 different federal agencies depending on what kind of immigration case you have open right now. If your case involves a lawful permanent resident who is renewing a green card, the data goes to United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, which everybody calls USCIS, and the green card renewal officer sees the unpaid ticket right there on the computer screen during the file review. If your case involves a naturalization applicant, USCIS also receives the data, and the naturalization officer sees the unpaid ticket during the moral character portion of the citizenship interview. Next, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network of the United States Treasury, which the federal government calls FinCEN, automatically receives a copy of every traffic ticket that was paid in cash because FinCEN has been tracking currency transactions under 31 USC Section 5313 since the Bank Secrecy Act of 1970. And finally, the Social Security Administration of the United States, which everyone simply calls SSA, receives the same list to cross-reference with retirement and disability benefits because an unpaid state debt can affect a future benefit redetermination on file. That is the exact mechanism by which a single unpaid parking ticket in a city like Sacramento, California, ends up on a federal computer inside 4 different United States agencies today. Let me introduce you to Carmen Mendoza. Carmen is a 67-year-old woman from Guadalajara in the Mexican state of Jalisco, who has lived in Phoenix, Arizona since she crossed the border in 1998 to join her older sister. Carmen became a lawful permanent resident of the United States in 2003 under INA Section 245 because she had a pending asylum case at the time that was later approved on the merits. Today, Carmen works part-time as a hospice aide for a small Hispanic-owned care agency near downtown Phoenix, and she earns roughly $19 an hour for about 32 hours a week, which gives her a monthly take-home income of about $2,400 after taxes are withheld. Every single month without fail, Carmen sends $250 by money order to her daughter Maria in Guadalajara, who is raising Carmen's 2 young grandchildren, while Maria herself works at a small neighborhood bakery. The remittances from Carmen to Mexico have gone out every month for 16 straight years. And that kind of clean record is the kind of pattern that both banks and the federal government both notice during a file review. In October of 2025, Carmen was driving home from a late evening hospice shift on Interstate 10 when a state trooper clocked her at 78 miles per hour in a 65 zone. The ticket she received was $385. Carmen could not pay that ticket that month because her daughter in Mexico had an emergency gallbladder surgery that drained the family's savings completely. By the end of January 2026, the unpaid ticket had crossed the 90-day window. By the second week of February 2026, Carmen received a letter from United States Citizenship and Immigration Services stating that her green card renewal application was being placed on hold pending a review of an unpaid state debt in her file, and her renewal appointment that was originally scheduled for April of 2026 has now been pushed to no earlier than October of 2027. Carmen did not commit any crime. Carmen is not a criminal. Carmen simply could not pay one single traffic ticket during one very bad month, and that missed payment is now the reason the federal government has paused her ability to remain legally present inside the United States today. Let me introduce you to Anil Sharma. Anil is a 71-year-old retired electrical engineer from the city of Amritsar in the state of Punjab, India, who became a lawful permanent resident of the United States in 2009 through family sponsorship by his older brother, who is himself now a naturalized United States citizen. Anil lives in Sacramento, California, in a small one-bedroom apartment about 3 blocks from his local Sikh temple, and he relies on his monthly Social Security retirement benefit of $2,400 to cover his rent, his groceries, his doctor visits, and his prescription medications. Every single month, Anil sends $300 by wire transfer through a federally regulated money service business to his younger brother Harpreet in Punjab, who is the primary caretaker for their 88-year-old mother. The remittances from Anil have arrived in Punjab every month without fail for 14 straight years. In the 18 months leading up to January 2026, Anil received 3 separate parking tickets from the city of Sacramento, one for $45, one for $90, and one for $190, totaling $325 across all 3 tickets. Anil kept forgetting to pay those tickets because he was busy driving his wife to her chemotherapy appointments 3 times each week at the UC Davis Comprehensive Cancer Center, and the tickets simply slipped through the cracks of a very tired and very worried mind. By the end of January 2026, those 3 unpaid parking tickets had crossed the 90-day window in the new rule and triggered the federal data flag inside the federal database. Anil was originally scheduled to take the oath of allegiance at the United States District Court in Sacramento on March 19, 2026, exactly 1 day after his 71st birthday. He had close to 50 family members on a video call waiting for him to raise his right hand and become a citizen. Instead, on February 11, 2026, Anil received a certified letter from United States Citizenship and Immigration Services telling him that his Form N-400 naturalization application had been flagged for an additional moral character review under INA Section 304, and the letter informed him that the additional review process could take anywhere from 90 days to 36 months to complete now. Most Americans have spent their entire lives inside what lawyers call the criminal court system, where the rules are very old and very protective of you. In criminal court, the government must prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. The government has to bring every piece of evidence against you. You do not have to prove that you are innocent. You can sit quietly and the legal burden stays on the prosecutor's side of the courtroom table. Federal immigration court does not work that way at all. Immigration court is part of the federal civil court system, not the criminal court system, and the rules of evidence are much softer against you inside that system. Inside federal immigration court, the burden of proof shifts away from the government and onto the applicant, which means the burden shifts onto you the moment the government pulls up any unfavorable flag in your file. The federal law that sets the burden of proof in naturalization cases is INA Section 304A, codified at 8 USC Section 1446A, and that section places the entire burden of proof on the applicant, not on the government side of the case. Most people understand that part of the rule. What most people do not understand is subsection B of the same rule, which tells the immigration officer to weigh every single piece of evidence in the record, including unfavorable evidence that has been pulled in from any other government agency, when deciding whether the applicant has established good moral character under INA Section 101F. The brand new traffic data rule does not change that statutory subsection at all. The brand new traffic data rule simply gives the immigration officer a brand new stream of unfavorable evidence that never existed before January 2026. And that stream of evidence arrives automatically, without any warning letter, and without giving you even one chance to pay the ticket before it shows up on the federal screen in the USCIS office today. Now I need to talk directly to you about the people who are about to call your home phone, send you text messages, knock on your front door, and cold DM you on social media pretending they can fix this brand new problem for a fee that they will quote to you before they ever tell you their name. They cannot fix this problem for you. They are about to use 3 invented titles for themselves that do not exist inside the federal government at all. They are about to call themselves immigration and traffic compliance specialists. They are about to call themselves Senior Citizen Immigration Protection Agents. They are about to call themselves DHS Certified Consultants. And that title is a complete fabrication because there is no such credential inside the Department of Homeland Security, and there never has been. There is also no such thing as a federal immigration bond negotiator. There is also no such thing as a state to DHS data disqualification service. Every single one of those invented titles is being built by people who are trying to charge a terrified senior somewhere between $2,500 and $25,000 to file paperwork that you can file yourself for free or for a very small fee through the official federal channels. Most of these predatory consultants are notarios, a word taken from the Spanish language. In Spanish, the word notario describes a powerful licensed attorney in Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and many other Spanish-speaking countries around the world. Inside the United States of America, a notario público has no legal authority whatsoever to represent you in federal immigration court because they are not attorneys. They are not licensed by any state bar association in any state of the union. They cannot give you legal advice. They cannot speak for you in front of an immigration judge, and they cannot file a legal motion on your behalf inside the Department of Homeland Security, no matter what date the year 2026 brings us to now. The Federal Trade Commission of the United States, the agency that regulators and lawyers simply call the FTC, has been issuing formal public warnings about immigration fraud for more than 15 straight years now, and those warnings have only grown louder since the calendar year 2020. As of January 2026, the FTC has identified more than 480 separate consumer fraud complaints in the most recent 12-month period that specifically involve one or more of the phrases ICE bond, DHS waiver, or traffic compliance immigration. The median amount of real money lost in a single one of these scams is $4,200 per victim. For a senior immigrant who is living on $2,400 a month from Social Security, losing $4,200 to one of these scams is the exact same thing as losing nearly 2 full months of groceries, 2 full months of prescription medication, and 2 full months of remittances sent home to the family waiting overseas today. So before you sign anything, before you pay anyone a fee of any size, and before you hand your green card or your naturalization appointment letter to anyone who promises they can fix your traffic flag for you, please call the official USCIS customer service line at 1-800-875-5283. That number has been operated by the federal government for every immigrant in this country for decades now. This is the part of the video that you will want to write down on a piece of paper and put on the refrigerator door so you can see it every morning. There are 7 specific actions that you should take right now if you care about protecting your green card, your H-1B status, your citizenship application, your asylum adjustment, or any other immigration benefit from the brand new traffic data rule that begins tomorrow morning. I am going to read each of the 7 actions out loud to you in plain English, and I am going to read each one slowly so you can hear it twice with your morning coffee in your hand. The first action you should take is to do it tonight, before you go to bed. Open every single piece of mail you have received from any state court, any city court, any traffic camera vendor, and any red light camera operator since January 1st of 2025, and pull those letters out of your file folder. Put them on your kitchen table. If any single unpaid ticket is over the value of $300, then that ticket is now sitting inside the new federal pipeline and will trigger the flag within 72 hours after the 90-day deadline passes. Do not wait until next week to deal with it. Pay that ticket tonight by phone, by online portal, or by mailing a certified check from the post office tomorrow morning. A ticket that is paid in full and documented on paper does not trigger the federal data flag today. The second action you should take this week is to go online to your home state's Department of Motor Vehicles website and order your complete driving history record. In California, this document is officially called the driving record. In Texas, the same document is officially called the driver record. In New York State, the same document is officially called the Abstract of Driving Record. The exact name of the document changes from one state to the next, but every single state in the country will mail or email your complete driving record to you for a small fee of roughly $5 to $15 per copy. Pull that driving record and read every single line on it for any unpaid citation that may still be hiding underneath. Some older tickets can take 6 to 9 full months before they finally show up on the official driving record, so a ticket from 18 months ago may still be sitting silently on the bottom of your file today. The third action you should take this week is to also call the customer service number for the state court that issued each of those tickets, one ticket at a time. Ask the court clerk how much you actually owe today. including any late fees or court costs that have been added on later. Ask the clerk whether the ticket has already been forwarded to the state collections system, because once a ticket enters the state collections database, the federal flag is much harder to remove at a later date. Ask the clerk whether the court offers a written payment plan, because most state courts will offer a written payment plan if you simply ask for one, and a signed payment plan in writing can sometimes satisfy the federal moral character review because it shows clear good faith effort today. The fourth action you should take, and this is the action that most older people forget to take, is to keep a paper file of every single payment you make from this point forward. When you pay a traffic ticket by personal check or by cashier's check, write the actual ticket number on the memo line of the check before you mail the check to the court. When you pay a ticket online through the court portal, save the PDF receipt that the website emails you and back that PDF up to your phone and also to your email inbox at the same time. When you pay a ticket in person at a court clerk's window, get a hand-stamped paper receipt and put that stamped paper receipt straight into the file folder. 6 months from now, when a USCIS officer asks you to prove that you paid that exact ticket on that exact date for that exact amount of money, that hand-stamped paper file is exactly what protects your case from the officer's desk today. The fifth action you should take, especially if you are between 60 and 75 years old and you are currently applying for any kind of immigration benefit during 2026, is to keep your green card, your employment authorization document, your I-829 receipt notice, your naturalization interview appointment notice, your medical appointment calendar, and your pharmacy receipts together in the same single file folder on your kitchen table. The reason these different documents belong together is that the federal review officer will be weighing your moral character based on the full shape of your daily life, not just on your driving record alone. A file folder that shows a senior who pays rent on time, sees the doctor, takes medication, sends remittances home overseas, and pays every traffic ticket on time will look completely different from a file folder that shows nothing at all on it today. The sixth action you should take is to sit down with one trusted adult family member this weekend and tell that person out loud which tickets are currently unpaid in your name. Tell them exactly where your paper file folder is physically located in the house. Tell them which phone number you would call if you got sick this winter. Tell them where your passport and your green card are physically located at this very moment inside your home. This conversation may feel formal and uncomfortable, but it is the single most important step you can take this month. Because if something happens to your body medically, the trusted adult family member will need to know exactly how to find all of your paperwork. This kind of family conversation is what Mexican families call a plática, what Indian families call a family meeting, and what Filipino families call a usapang pamilya. And it is the most protective single act that any senior immigrant can take today. The seventh and final action you should take, and this is the action most likely to be skipped by every viewer who watches this video, is to refuse to panic. Panic is exactly what the predatory consultants are counting on when they telephone you tonight. Panic is what makes a 70-year-old widow hand $2,500 in cash to a complete stranger who calls her on the telephone and speaks fast. Panic is what makes a 71-year-old retired engineer sign a written contract he cannot fully read because the salesperson spoke English too fast for him to follow. Preparation is the exact opposite of panic, my friend. Preparation is what you are doing right now by listening carefully to this whole video. Preparation is what you will do this week by paying down your unpaid tickets, by ordering your driving record, by keeping the paper file going, and by holding the family meeting this weekend. Panic is expensive and it slows you down. Preparation is one quiet afternoon in your kitchen with your reading glasses on. Preparation is power, not panic now. You have just heard a lot of important information in the last few minutes, and some of it may have scared you a little. And that is a perfectly fair reaction I want you to give yourself permission to feel right now. But here is the reframe I want you to carry with you for the rest of this week and into next month. The rule itself is brand new, but the underlying law underneath it was passed all the way back in 2005. The dollar number that matters is small, and it is a number you can actually act on tonight before you go to sleep. The federal mechanism is fully automatic, but it depends entirely on your home state having your unpaid ticket on file, which means the very moment you pay off the ticket in full on paper, the federal flag quietly comes off. The two case studies I shared with you are real in their shape, even if I change the names to protect the families. And they tell you exactly the kind of preparation that works under this brand new rule. The legal burden of proof is heavier on your side than it used to be, but that burden is not impossible to meet on paper if you keep good dated records of everything. The predatory consultants are going to be loud, and they are already loud this month. But the official toll-free phone number at 1-800-875-5283 is free, is patient with seniors, and it actually picks up the phone. This entire video is about turning fear into preparation so that tomorrow morning, when the new rule officially goes live across the country, you can be the senior in your own family who already paid the ticket, already has the paper file together, already called the courthouse, and already sat down with your daughter or your son or your niece. That is the real difference between fear and preparation. Preparation is power, not panic now. Thank you for spending your morning with Senior Life USA. If this video helped you understand what the brand new traffic data rule actually means for your green card, for your citizenship application, or for the driver's license plates of someone you love inside your own family. Today, please tap the subscribe button right below this video and tap the little bell icon right next to subscribe so that the next time I publish a new breakdown, your phone gives you a heads up before the YouTube algorithm decides for you. Please leave a comment below telling me specifically which immigration benefit you are currently using right now. Are you a lawful permanent resident who is renewing a green card in 2026? Are you an H-1B extension applicant whose employer filed Form Y-797 on your behalf? Are you a naturalization applicant sitting inside the citizenship interview window of 2026? Are you a temporary protected status holder? Are you an asylee who is adjusting status under INA Section 245? Are you a U visa holder, or are you a U.S. citizen family member who is currently waiting on a parent or grandparent who is still waiting abroad right now? The reason I am asking you to tell me your specific situation is because the next video topic on Senior Life USA will be picked directly from the actual situation that you write to me about in the comments down below, and I want to make sure that the next breakdown answers the most urgent question you are personally carrying at this moment, and not the question that the YouTube algorithm rewards with views. Please share this video with one specific person in your own life today. Share it with the older uncle in Hialeah who just got a speeding ticket in Miami-Dade. Share it with the older cousin in Queens, New York who has been forgetting to pay those parking tickets for 8 months straight. Share it with the retired aunt in Houston, Texas who just received her citizenship interview notice in the mail and is scared about her own driving record. Send them this video before they hear about the brand new rule from someone who is trying to sell them a fake fix that does not actually work. Preparation is the most powerful form of power you have available to you inside this country, and that is exactly what I want for every single senior in this community today.